Welcome to Fanalyze This. I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
And I'm Anthony Perry.
Hold on, AP. Let me fanalyze this for you real quick.
Tell 24 to pass the ball.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's not what I'm talking about, man.
Welcome to Fanalyze This. It's Tuesday, May 7th. I'm Joe 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, this is Anthony Perry, back from a 3-week some-odd vacation, I guess, hanging out with my pops in the loo. But I'm back, and let's do this thing.
Yeah, of course, we want to welcome back AP after the long layoff, but you did get to go home at least.
Yes,
Must
sir.
have been nice to see St. Louis.
It was nice to see St. Louis, except it was really wet.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Was it raining out there the whole time?
I think I had maybe 4 days of sunshine.
Oh,
5 days at the most.
Now, I know we talked about this off the air, but I'm sure our listeners are curious. Did you get to catch a Cardinal game while you're out there?
Man, put it on Facebook, man. Beautiful stadium, second year. It's a gorgeous place to catch a ball game. Got tickets. You go at 9 o'clock in the morning to Will Call. You buy a voucher. You get 2 tickets for $11.20. Could be anywhere in the stadium. They're like $50 seats when we got there. I was down a third base line, probably like 20 rows up.
That's tight.
For $5.60 a ticket. Couldn't beat it.
That's awesome. Want to remind everyone, as always, go ahead and go to Facebook and like our Fanalyze This page. You can also follow us on Twitter, and I think we're pretty close to getting the YouTube page set up as well. So there's all kinds of places to find the past episodes now, and of course always on Spreaker.com. While you're over there, check out our affiliate shows, the UOU Show, No Salary Cap Radio, DNA Radio, the Center Sports Show, and On Air with Ruben J. We got a whole lot coming on in this first half of the show. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, but we're going to stick to the East for this first half, and we'll hit the West in the second part of the show. We're going to talk about the NHL playoffs. First round's well underway. There's one particular team who could move on tonight, but we'll get to that. We'll talk about the Mayweather fight and discuss whether or not boxing is on its last dying leg, because you know how I feel.
Yeah, man.
Let's get it started, though, and we'll start with the Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat series.
Ooh. Man, I tell you, that's a wonderful series.
Well, we're in the second round of the NBA playoffs. I want to talk about the Heat and the Bulls series, which got underway last night. The Bulls, who, of course, if you're a basketball fan, you know they've been without D. Rose since the playoffs last year. Heinrich wasn't able to go last night, and Luol Deng has some sort of infection in his spine, and he's going to be out for Game 2 as well.
Yeah, he has a spinal tap leak. They did a spinal tap to do something, and they said he started leaking out of his spine. They don't really know what's going on with him.
Now, what's crazy about this, because you heard the players who didn't play the game, Chicago won.
93-86.
93-86. Here's the thing, and you know how I feel about Marquette players. Big Wade fan, big Steve Novak fan, and I like this Jimmy Butler kid. Although they didn't have Luol Deng and were definitely shorthanded, you get a lot more minutes for Jimmy Butler. He has been playing lockdown defense on LeBron James, the reigning MVP, and he put in 21 points. Jimmy Butler had a game, but you can't mention the game that Chicago had and not bring up little Nate Robinson. What was it, 27 last night?
Nate Robinson was balling, 27 points,
and 9 dimes too, right? Yeah.
9
Nate
assists.
Robinson had a great game. But here's the thing about the Heat, though. They've had the longest layoff out of anyone from the first round. They swept the Bucks. They've been, really kind of bored. There was stories about it, over the weekend where they said that they were bored. They had nothing to do. Did Chicago just kind of steal one because of the layoff? And have the Bulls now woke up the sleeping bear in Miami and the Heat are going to take care of business? You know something?
I'd probably agree with you if it was a different game. If the Bulls went and just blew them out, then I will say, yeah, they were sleepwalking and they weren't prepared for the game. But Spoelstra is not that guy. Pat Riley doesn't allow that. So Spoelstra walking in Riley's footsteps, you would think, no, there's no way he's going to let these guys be that lackadaisical. But you look at Chicago, they ended the game on a 13-0 run. So it wasn't like they were blowing them out. They were behind in this game, and Miami was winning in the fourth quarter, and Chicago took it from them. So to me, I think Chicago wanted it more. You're talking about Nate Robinson and his 27 points, 9 dimes. But Butler, man, 21 points, 14 rebounds, and great defense.
Huge game.
So I look at this guy. We've talked about him all year as a guy that was like, wait a minute, Luol Deng might be the dude, but he's right behind him.
Absolutely.
So when Rose comes back next year and they keep that intact and they don't lose any of that bench like they did from last year, I'm looking at the Bulls like they might have something to say about this man winning 3 or 4 rings in Miami.
You mentioned the bench from last year, and I'm starting to feel like a broken record because we bring it up a lot. Chicago shouldn't be this good. They lost pretty much every key player off their bench and their best player in D. Rose. They're in the second round of the playoffs. They got a 1-game lead over the Miami Heat. And let's not forget, this is now twice this season that Chicago has stopped a Miami streak. There was the 27-game streak when they were going for the Laker record. And Miami had won like 14 in a row before this loss last night.
They're looking at Miami like they were going to be Philly from '83 when Moses Malone said we're going to foe, and they lost one of the games, so it was really 4-5-4. But when you look at Miami's like who can beat them, and people were thinking about maybe the Knicks could give them a run. But I say Chicago gives the Knicks and Miami problems because they play defense. From the last guy on the team to the first guy on the team, and you saw a guy sitting on the bench throwing up against Brooklyn in those last games. And how do you sit on the bench throwing up and going, and you're still playing your guts out?
It's crazy.
You know, I mean, it's like they say,
literally playing their guts out.
Legends are made in the playoffs, and I'm looking at Chicago without D. Rose, and I'm saying they're building something in Chicago because they have a very good coach. Some say maybe the second best coach in basketball because of his defensive prowess. I'm looking at this dude like he is literally next guy up, let's play. I don't care who's not here, let's do it. So, yeah, I'm liking what Chicago's doing.
Let me get a prediction for the series, and we'll move on to the New York Pacers matchup. I think Miami still wins this in 6.
And, you know, I'm saying that's probably where it's going to be, Miami in 6, but it's going to be who wins the next game and how it runs out, because I'm thinking the Bulls might go back to Chicago and win both of those games if Miami doesn't win their next game, and I mean convincingly, Chicago's going to come in swinging like we're going to win.
The thing that's funny about Chicago versus the Heat this year, and I was talking to Daryl from DNA Radio earlier today off the air about this, the Bulls this year against the Heat are really kind of the Pacers last year against the Heat. Now stay with me on this one. The Pacers kind of had the Heat's number last year. They were up in the playoffs, and then the Heat turned on that switch, and they ended up winning the series, going on to become the champion. But I kind of feel that that's how the Bulls have played the Heat this year, kind of how the Pacers did last year. They just seem to be that team that has their number. However, LeBron James, 4 MVPs in 5 years, he's just too damn good. Got even better this year somehow, and I don't even know how that's even possible. I still think they win in 6 games to face the winner of the New York Knicks-Indiana Pacers series. Now, before we get into that one, you know what today is? Today is the anniversary of Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in 9 seconds against the New York Knicks.
Isn't that crazy?
Right? That was so amazing.
Oh, how did he do that? That was almost like what Bird did against Detroit and beat them in the last few seconds by stealing the ball, making a bucket, passing it to DJ.
Now, it's actually the anniversary of that, monumental series against the Pacers in New York, because here we are again in 2013, second-round matchup, and we got the Knicks and the Pacers. And you and I both have been talking about this all season. We wanted this matchup. We knew this was going to be an awesome series. Can the Knicks beat the Pacers, though? They just seem to be playing a lot tougher right now.
I think they
More
can.
physical.
I think the only way they're going to beat the Pacers is if they play as if they did the first 2 months of the season, when the ball didn't land in Carmelo's hands and just stop. They have to keep passing the ball. I don't know if Novacek is playing or not, because I know he's injured.
You mean Novak?
Novak? I call him Novacek. Discount double check. That's my boy.
He is still hurt, to be honest.
And I look at him and I say he's a big contributor, but they need people to make 3-point shots against this team. But you look at Indiana and say, man, these are big boys. This is a
physical team.
Because the referee allows, man, and I don't like this because of the playoffs, but it happens. They allow teams to be more physical. And every team that plays that way is going to do well if that's how they play. And Indiana plays that way. And I got to give Hibbert his props. Hibbert is not the best center in the league, but he might be one of the most consistent guys with his 14.
Top 5.
But I'm saying with his 14 points, 10, 12 rebounds almost every game. It's like you can count on him to do that. Not 30 points and 20 rebounds. He's not that guy. So, yeah, I like that series coming. But I think the Knicks can win it. I think they can win it if they play as a team.
I'm going to ask this question even though I'm pretty sure I know both of our answers, but Is this going 7?
Oh, I believe so.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, too.
It'll go 7 if the Knicks can win their next game, which is tonight, right? The Knicks are playing tonight, or is it tomorrow night?
Because I'm believing it's tonight.
Yeah, so if the Knicks win tonight, I believe it's going to go 7. If the Knicks do not win tonight, this series is over in 5 games.
That's the early game tonight, too, so 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
7 o'clock if you're on the East Coast.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a wonderful one.
Well, there's some other playoffs going on right now. Let's talk some hockey.
Oh.
Well, we're still in the first round of the NHL playoffs, but one of these series could end tonight.
Is San Jose playing tonight?
San Jose is playing tonight. They're playing, it's Vancouver, but I believe the game's out. It is in San Jose. I think the Sharks are going to sweep. I don't know if you caught last week's show. Michael Lou and I were making predictions. I went, basically, if they were playing a Canadian team, I picked the American team. And, you know, I'm a Penguins fan, so I don't really care too much about the West. But I do want to see Blackhawks-Penguins for the Cup. I think that would be a great series. However, I picked the other 3 California teams to win their matchups because I just feel like that's what you're supposed to do when you live in Southern California. So, like I mentioned, San Jose is up 3-0 on Vancouver. I think that one's over tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I like the Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, they really haven't been close. I mean, Game 2 had the shootout, but other than, I mean, they won Game 1 3-1. They won Game 3 5-2. I think this is a wrap, and the Sharks are moving on. So, USA.
Yeah, they look good, but you look at, I guess it's Detroit and Anaheim are playing.
Yeah, I was going to go to that one next,
okay, because that's an interesting series.
You know, they're knotted up at 2 now. I feel like the Ducks should be up 3-1. How do you who did I read say? I think it was actually Dave Sanders from the Sanders Sports Show had posted something on Facebook that I thought was pretty interesting. If you're going to let any Detroit Red Wings get past you, one that you want to make sure doesn't get past you, it's Pavel Datsyuk. How do they allow him to make that happen? I mean, you know he's the best player on Detroit, maybe in the entire NHL. He's definitely top 5, no doubt about it. You can't let Datsyuk beat you. It's got to be someone else from Detroit if you're the Ducks.
Yeah, but was it a shift change? I mean, I didn't see the game, so I don't know if it was during a shift change.
He just outskated him.
Oh, okay.
Got past, hit the goal, and now we're 2-2. Another series that's 2-2, and I'm sure you're very interested in this one. Well, the Kings have managed to win the last 2 and tie things with your St. Louis Blues. I thought that was going to be the first sweep in the first round. I thought your Blues had this wrapped up.
I didn't, and I tell you, it scared me because to see the one game they won in St. Louis that they were leading 1-0 and the Kings scored with like 10 seconds, 15 seconds to go. I was like, wait a minute, this game is over. We won 1-1. No, we went in overtime and won in shootout 2 or overtime 2-1. They won in the second game 2-1. Come to L.A., lose 1-0, lead in this game 3-2 in the third period, and the Kings score 2 goals and they win 4-3. And I'm thinking, this is going to be an interesting series because who are the Kings? Are they the team from last year that were in the 8th spot, went on to win the Cup?
I guess, in the Kings' defense and in their fans' defense, they are still the defending champion.
Absolutely.
Even though it was a fake season, and I don't, whoever wins the Stanley Cup this year, even if, let's say it's my Pittsburgh Penguins, it's nothing to brag about. You won a 48-game season. They normally play, 82, right?
They play the same as
it's
basketball.
Like last year, Miami, LeBron finally got his ring, but win this year. And then I'll give it a little more credit. Same thing 98 with Tim Duncan when they beat the Knicks. I don't care about the shortened seasons. You're not the real champion unless you play 82 games plus playoffs.
Well, I say this. I understand where you're coming from, but unless you're looking at injuries coming in and affecting the regular season, then to me, if they all play the same amount of games, I don't care how many they play, it's still the playoffs where you win your championship. So if there's only a 48-game season versus an 82-game season, they missed 34 games, okay. Unless they had injuries, it's still been the same is how I look at it.
Like you said, they lost 34 games, and for that reason alone is why I've stuck with the 2 hottest teams, the Penguins and the Blackhawks, going for the Cup.
Right.
Because there's no reason for them to be slowed down at this point. You've only played 48 games.
You shouldn't be tired. You shouldn't have, as long as they don't have major injuries, both teams, you're right, have far and away been the two best teams in hockey this year.
Think about this. If every round goes the full 7 games, they still haven't played a full season. It'd be 28 games. They'd still be missing 6 games, and then the playoffs as a whole. So,
right.
It's going to be kind of an asterisk championship, but whatever. I guess you make a good point. They still all played the same amount of games. And speaking of the same amount of games, like I said, the Kings are now tied with your Blues 2-2.
Yeah, my hurt.
Game 5 for that one will be tomorrow in St. Louis, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Ducks also, I didn't mention, their Game 5 is, I think, tomorrow also, is it not? Game 5 is Wednesday, and that'll be here in Anaheim, 7 o'clock our time.
Yeah, so those are 2 pretty good series, though.
They are. And, another one, which I didn't expect to be a series at all, and Minnesota has kind of made it a series. Minnesota-Chicago is 2-1 right now. The Wild they won the overtime game, right? They won that second overtime game. They've actually had 2 overtime games.
2 really good games. So I'm looking at a couple of series, like you're talking about that one. I'm looking at your boys. Your boys, Pittsburgh. I understand they're up 2-1, but I was told they could be down 3-0 because I understand they've been outplayed, a lot of those games. And I'm like, wow, what's going on with Pittsburgh?
Here's the thing. I'm not sure if you knew this. Crosby was out for Game 1, hadn't come back from the broken jaw. They thought he would be ready, but only missed the 1 game. Got him back in Game 2. He scored really twice pretty early in the game. We lost that game. We're not holding the lead. We won the first game 5-0 without Crosby. We were up, I think, last time I looked, 3-1, and I went out for the night, and, we ended up losing the game 4-3. Like, what the hell happened here? It was almost like earlier in the season when Pittsburgh was playing the Flyers, and I had guaranteed victory, and they were up 3-1 on us, and we came back and won 4-3. Like, I thought that game was over. Although we've been outplayed, I personally think, and I'm sure my bias being a Penguins fan, I think we should be up 3-0.
It could go either way, but I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but just listening to some of the analysis, guys talking about the teams and breaking them down, they said actually they've been outplayed, and I was really surprised to hear that. And the last game that they played was an overtime game to win. They were losing that game going in the third period, and ended up winning the game in OT. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going on with them? And like you say, Chicago's up 2-1. You would think both teams just destroying the season, they'd both be up 3-0 cruising right now, and that's not happening. Like I said, though, hockey is all about the goaltenders.
I was going to say the one bright spot with Pittsburgh winning that overtime game is at least we took home ice back, because we definitely lost that in Game 2. So there's that. I still think they're going to come out of the East, but, I guess we have to talk about the other 3 matchups just because they're going on. And I mentioned this on Thursday. I don't care about this matchup at all. I'm sorry if you're Canadian, but Ottawa, Montreal, I don't care. I don't care who wins. It doesn't matter. You're losing in the next round. I can't bring myself to watch the Senators and Canadians. I can't do it.
But who are the Canadians? Who would the winner play?
I believe the winner of that would play my Pittsburgh.
But I'm saying there's 4 teams, right? It's just like in the NBA.
It's just
8
like
teams,
the NBA.
Right?
So the winner of 4-5 plays the winner of 1-8.
Okay.
So it's still the same. Very similar, actually. 82 games, the best of 7.
Start about the same time, end about the same time.
Give or take a
but
week,
I will say this, though. Looking at the playoffs, it's not that way. It's not 1 against 8 in the second round, the best against the worst.
What do you mean?
So I'm really surprised. Is Chicago the worst team by record-wise right now?
Chicago is the best team in hockey this year.
No, I'm saying in basketball, is Chicago the best team? They're the worst team in the playoffs.
Oh,
it's still
you're
existing.
saying as far as why Chicago is playing Miami?
Right, so they must have the better record than of the others because they beat Brooklyn.
Chicago is the only lower seed that advanced.
They're 6, right?
They were 5.
But in the what?
Brooklyn was 4, Chicago was 5.
They were the 4-5. Okay.
And then New York, Indiana, Miami is 1, 2, 3. The only lower-seeded team that advanced was the
Chicago.
Bulls out of the
okay.
East.
So it did play out that way.
I'm glad you touched back on that series because there's something that I just forgot to say, and I really wanted to say. I'm so glad the Bulls beat the Brooklyn Nets. I cannot stand Darren Williams. That guy's a coach killer. You chase away that great Jerry Sloan. You chase away Avery Johnson, who players always talk about loving to play for. And, I mean, P.J. Carlissimo, I thought, did a decent job filling in, but he's out of a job now, too. So, Darren Williams, within the last, 2 calendar years, has gotten rid of 3 head coaches.
Well, no. Let's not do that to him about P.J. because what I understand
I won't
is...
put P.J. on him, but Avery Johnson and Jerry Sloan were definitely him.
Because I understand they want your boy from L.A.
Oh, they won't get him.
But I'm saying that's who they want. And they want him, and then they want the assistant coach. Where is he right now? Where's your boy that should have been the Laker coach?
Bishaw?
Yeah, Bishaw. They're trying to get both of them together to go to the Brooklyn Nets. So that'll be interesting.
Brian Shaw needs to be a head coach.
You know what? I don't know because we've never seen him coach.
Yeah,
so we don't really know.
Off nothing other than him being Phil's prodigy, but I just feel like he must have it. Like if Phil saw something in him.
You know what potential will do? It'll get you fired.
Yeah.
It'll get a GM fired. But what I wanted to bring up, though, I didn't understand about the NBA in the West because number one team is OKC, right?
Correct.
And they're playing Memphis.
Which was
Memphis
has
has
the
lower
4-5 series.
But hold on. Isn't Houston a lower-ranked team?
But that's not how it works. Houston is a lower-ranked team.
Right, but I'm saying, shouldn't that how it work? 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5.
Lakers were 7. Houston came in at the 8.
So
Lakers were 7. That's why we played and lost to San Antonio.
Houston was 8, so they are the lowest ranked team.
But we actually made it up to 7.
That's right. I forgot.
Didn't show up for those playoffs, but we did move up to 7.
I forget because I actually thought the Lakers could make 7, and that's where I was confused. You're absolutely right.
The way Golden State was slumping for a while there, I thought we were going to get up to 6, but that didn't happen. And even if it did, I don't think we would have beat Denver like Golden State did.
No, you won exactly the amount of games you were supposed to win.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Unfortunate.
It's next year.
The rest of the Eastern Conference, though, for the Stanley Cup, this one's actually pretty fun to watch. The Rangers and Capitals. Have you saw any of that one?
No, but the Capitals won 2 years ago, so they've dropped down.
Capitals didn't win 2 years ago. The Blackhawks won 2 years ago.
Blackhawks won last year. No, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I'm sorry. You're right.
I just really like watching Ovechkin. He's an exciting player. He kind of has that like out of control aspect to him. Like think of Manu Ginobili on the Spurs, like how he's just wild, but somehow it's effective. Ovechkin for the Washington Capitals is that player to me, but I just like this guy. I like watching him play, and I've never really liked the New York Rangers, so I'm glad the Caps are up 2-1. I think they're going to go on to win this series. Their Game 4 will be that's tomorrow in New York, and I like Ovechkin. I also like I don't know if they still got that Russian goalie, but that This Is Sports Center commercial that they did where dude's hiding in the roof. One of my favorite ones of all time. So I like Washington. I hope they win this series.
He became a spy. So you want all the New York teams out of the playoffs? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no. I'm not just hating on New York in general. The Islanders are playing my Penguins.
Right. You want them out.
The Rangers I do hate on. I just don't like the New York Rangers.
So there's
I've
2 New York teams. You wanted Brooklyn out. That's 3 New York teams.
It's just a coincidence.
And you don't see the Knicks winning, so you want all 4 out.
It's just a coincidence. Just saying.
Okay.
One more matchup in the first round for the Stanley Cup. And I don't want to so much talk about the matchup, but what the Leafs fans did in Game 3. Toronto's playing Boston. We all know since the tragedy at the Boston Marathon, Boston as a city and the nation has really kind of embraced them using the whole slogan, Boston Strong. Leafs fans are now holding up signs that say, Toronto Stronger. Come on now. That phrase has nothing to do with hockey, nothing to do with really any sport, but I guess running. You don't need to be poking the bear like that and mocking. It was a tragedy that happened at the marathon. Come on, Toronto. I mean, I get it. The guy who made the sign was probably to himself thought it was the funniest thing ever, and I could see myself doing something like that and being really proud of it. But you got to think about how people are going to view that. It's just kind of dirty. And it makes Toronto as a city look bad.
Well, I don't know if it makes them look bad, but think about it.
They're mocking the slogan that the city of Boston has used since the marathon tragedy.
I know, but they continue to use it to say their teams are tough. And I'm saying, no. This had to do with that tragedy, and the people of Boston are tough, and they will rebound from this. I got that. But you're taking it to all the Red Sox games, and they're winning. You're going, oh, Boston's tough. You take it to Celtics games. They won 2 games, and then you take it to the hockey game, and the Bruins. Think about that. It doesn't belong, maybe. The first week, I got you, but you're going to do that the whole playoffs, the whole season?
Well, you might not know this. In Game 2 in Boston, no. It was Game 3 in Boston. No, I'm right. It was Game 2 in Boston. The military vet that had lost his legs during the marathon, they had brought him out on the ice in Boston. They had the Boston Strong and all that. So now it's the very next game in Toronto. They're holding up Toronto Stronger signs. Like, come on, have a little respect for the dude that lost both of his legs.
I get that, but why is this guy coming out to a hockey game? I get it. Bring him out. I'm like, no, you're trying to incite the fans. Let's get them going. Let's rile everybody up.
You're saying if you're going to do it, it's got to work both ways?
It's got to work both ways.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, Game 4 of that one will be in Toronto. That's tomorrow is Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday. So that's tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I don't know, we got about maybe a week left of the first round, and then it gets really interesting. I want to talk about what happened over the weekend.
Uh-oh.
You know, I should be talking already, but I just like this song, so I want to run it. No, I'm aware that the mic's on. I should be talking right now, but damn, this is a good song, isn't it?
Man, it's a nice rhythm.
Rock him. God MC. Well, if you didn't know this, the name of this song is Guess Who's Back, and if you've been under a rock...
Uh-oh, who's back?
Then you weren't aware that Floyd Mayweather Jr. finally fought on Saturday. It's been over a year.
And who cares?
You know, and that's, I guess, where we're going with this one. He fought and beat Robert Guerrero. Who, right? Like, I don't know who Robert Guerrero is. Mayweather's now 44-0, won by unanimous decision, 117-111. He only lost the second round. When Mayweather Jr. fights, it's supposed to be one of those fights where, you know, it brings popularity and ratings back to boxing. I don't think anyone cared.
Because they really want him to fight Pacquiao.
Everyone wanted to see Mayweather-Pacquiao. That would have been the fight that saved boxing.
I don't know if it would have saved him, but it would have brought people
kept
together for at
least
a weekend or two for people to talk about boxing and where they thought it was going or where that fight might have taken it. So you're right about that.
Now, one versus the other, I'm definitely more of a Pacquiao fan over Mayweather.
Really?
But all Mayweather wanted was random drug tests, and Pacquiao refused it. And his very next fight, what happened to Manny Pacquiao?
He went to sleep.
He went to sleep. So it does say a lot about Manny Pacquiao, refusing a drug test and then getting beat like that.
But you know what's crazy is I saw Manny on First Take saying, I'll give him whatever he wants.
Manny Pacquiao was on First Take?
He was on First Take.
Did they have subtitles on the screen to understand him?
No, I understood him very well.
One of the hardest people to understand.
And they asked him, do you think he's scared of you? Do you think Floyd? And he said, yes, I believe he is.
You know, I didn't see Manny Pacquiao on First Take, but I saw Mayweather's boy, 50 Cent, on First Take, and they asked him the same question. And he kind of outed his boy. He said, yeah, he's not afraid of him, but he is afraid of his undefeated record being tainted.
Right, and that was his whole thing. His whole thing is like, why should I fight somebody that might beat me, that I might lose all my luster for a little bit of money? No, I want a whole lot of money, and I can fight lesser opponents, and I can still keep all the gloss that comes from not having lost a fight. And that's where he is right now. He's like my boy that fights without a manager, and his whole thing was, why take the risk, the greater risk, if I can take a little lesser risk and make good money and still be who I am and be challenged and not really care until people stop buying his fights. And I'm thinking, like Skip and Stephen A. and a lot of other guys have talked about, don't buy any more of his fights until he's fighting somebody worth fighting. And I don't know if we're going to ever see him.
So you're saying there's a boycott out there in the sports world?
They were talking about that. Do not buy one of his pay-per-views because he has 4
or
5 lined up already.
I'm into that. I am signing on with Stephen A. and Skip Bayless. I am refusing to watch another Mayweather fight until it's Pacquiao.
Because we already know he's a tactician. We already know he's a great defensive counterpuncher. We already know that about it. So what is he showing us? You know what I mean? So you go out for 12 rounds and you have a sparring? No, man.
For me, and I've thought about this over the weekend, like what fight could get put together that could save boxing, and it's one that'll never happen. You got to get the Klitschko brothers to fight each other, but I think it's the dad or the uncle is the corner man for both of them.
I don't know, but
I would love to see the Klitschko brothers fight each other. I think it'd be awesome. When's the last time we've had a good heavyweight fight? Lennox Lewis, Klitschko? That's in the first Ocean's 11. How long ago was that?
Do you think that'll be a good fight? I think they might either bore us like the tennis sisters, the Williams sisters playing each other, and people looking like, you really don't want to beat your sister?
Yeah.
Do you think he really wants to hit his brother?
I think maybe if the younger brother might want to hit the older brother. I mean, that's just part of sibling rivalry, but like I said, it'll never happen, and their corner man's like the same guy. I'm pretty sure it's the uncle.
So he's going to run. He's going to run back and say, "Hey, so and so's not countering very well. Okay, I'm going to lead with so and so. Okay, you do that and run around to the other
corner." Exactly.
That's not going to work, man.
So I guess really in summary here, and then we'll take a quick break and get into the second half of the show. I think MMA has completely killed boxing at this point.
You know what I think has really killed boxing? That the guys that were in boxing, and I got to say, boxing was dominated by blacks and Hispanics for the most part for years. The blacks that used to box are now in football, basketball, and doing other things.
Well, not only that, I mean, football and basketball and baseball, like, they've always been there. The thing, though, with MMA, like, they're just about... UFC is going to celebrate their 20th anniversary this year in November, so it's still a very young sport. Anyone that would have been a boxer, if you have those boxing skills, they're now going out and taking a wrestling class and a jiu-jitsu class, putting those 3 skills together and killing shit in the octagon. Like, no one wants to go in the ring anymore. Everyone wants to go in the octagon.
But those are smaller guys. When you think of boxing,
there's some big dudes in UFC.
Right, no, but what I'm saying is primarily when you talk about heavyweight champions, there's always been a black guy as a heavyweight champion most of the time from Sonny Liston, Ali up. I'm saying in the 60s, 70s
and
up.
It's a shame what the powers that be in boxing did to Tommy Morrison, telling him he had AIDS and had to leave the scene, only to find out 12 years later, oops, our bad. No, you don't.
Yeah, but who was he going to beat?
I'm just saying. Tommy Morrison was the Great White Hope, and you know it. We'll take a quick break. Be right back with the second half of Fanalyze This.